Right. I think we've been looking at various things about the social media. We looked at why social media is important and why companies are going towards social media, bypassing the traditional mediums like the newspapers, television, radio, things like that. So we also looked at history and also the development and the role of AI, stuff like that. I also loaded the LMS in many different resources for you to have a look. I hope you are checking it out. Today, our topic is an interesting one. This is on content design. Actually, it's a very lengthy topic, so we can talk a lot about it as to understand the role of content. When you say content, we are talking about text, we are talking about pictures, images, we are talking about videos, we are talking about special effects. There are all kinds of content available. Plus what you do with that also. Now there are demonstration kind of content, and there are posters, there are photo stories, there are so many things connected to that also. So in fact, if you get down to the detail, you can talk about 3 weeks on this subject. So rather 3 lessons can be built. But then I thought I'll brush through the whole thing because our focus is understanding the techniques behind social media, right? So we do understand the role of content, but we also want to understand how the programming requirements are there for social media. So we spend some time on understanding what the social media is, the role, and why it is important. And then we'll move on to do some coding. So there are things we do with social media, like authentication, and then integration with our other softwares. There are also different way to access information. If you take Microsoft 365 system, right? You can use it for authenticate your, let's say, your application. So you have application using Flutter or let's say PHP or MERN stack, JavaScript, whatever. Yeah, Python. And for you to maintain your authentication, you can either have a local one or you can use a social authentication, like what we are doing at SLTs. So if you have a Google account, you can log into any of the SLTC platforms like LMS, library system, student system, everything. You use your Google account. So how does that work? Right. So there are different things. There is federation and isolation, lot of stuff there. So you'll be writing some code to get it done. But we are only using it for authentication. You can actually go another couple of steps further as well. So if you take, say, for example, or Google for Microsoft for that matter, we use something called the graph to inquire information within the system. Say, for example, if you're using Microsoft 365 as authentication system, once you are authenticated, you can request the last 10 emails, or you can add an event to the calendar. Or you can, send them other to-do items and things like that. Of course, provided it's approved. Yes. So the owner or the user must approve these things. And when they do that, you can access from the application, you can access them. So it's a matter of integration, just like how you install a mobile application. So when you install the mobile application, it is asking you for permission, isn't it? Say, for example, say this mobile application uses your camera, or this mobile application has or need access to your contacts. So we can either say yes or no. So depending on that, you are giving access to your application as well. So we will be writing code to see how we can get permission and then use that to inquire and integrate with our other application software. So that's one of the big areas we'll be doing, talking about under this. Right. So like I said, today is about content. So let's see what is there when it comes to social media content design, right? So why content design is important? Because when you sort of engage in your social media for the first time, all you see is graphics, right? Whether it is an animation or a picture or a video, all you see is graphics. So how do you make sure this graphic is engaging, interesting, and keep the person or the user on toes so that they will not leave the system, right? So there are a couple of things we need to bring in. Actually, we bring in graphic design theories to do this. Yeah. Now, if you look at the importance of this, I have a list of bullet points here. Number one, we'll get into some details also. Audience engagement. What does that mean? So, for example, now if you look at this slide, right, you see my top line is blue color and it is larger text. Then I have two levels of bullet points, isn't it? I have a circular bullet and then I have a line bullet as a second point. Now I could have put one big paragraph here, but the fact that I broken down into bullet points, it makes it easy to understand on one side, and also because it's promotes or motivates people to read, there is much better engagement. Now, I could have more engagement by bringing in a picture also. So imagine I have a picture on the right-hand side. Your attention will directly go to the picture there. I did not do that because I'm talking multiple topics here, right? So maybe if I bring in a picture, it should be a common picture for all the bullet points. So maybe something aligning with my topic, importance of social media content design. So you need to take the call. Okay, should I have a picture or should I not have a picture? How can I have a better engagement with users, right? So essentially attention, right? Plus interaction. So if there are, now there are some pictures that talk to customers directly, yeah? I'll show you some examples as we move forward. So first thing is audience engagement. So your content must be engaging the users. So remember, when I say content, we are not talking about text only, right? We're talking a lot of different things. Number two, brand identity. So what does brand identity mean? Now, people or users come to a certain website or a social media page or whatever with some understanding, isn't it? With some a previous knowledge of something. If not, I mean, some people might be brand new, so they don't have a previous knowledge. So even if that is the case, we need to make sure we show them something where there is consistency. Now, let's say if your logo has red color, we need to make sure throughout the system we are carrying the same sort of thing, right? So that is brand identity. Now, let me show you an example. Now, there is this famous website called HubSpot, right? This is a site with full of content, right? It's a very good example of how they use content marketing to market their products, right? Now, if you look at them very carefully, you will notice their color is oranges and black. Now, look at their background here. It's also light orange, right? Look at these other small elements. They all have orangish flare, right? And going down, they're all orangish. Okay. Now, let me show you something. Now, let's say I go to Google and I type best practices in content design, just any topic for that matter. Coming down, I'll see here, I see an article here. So let's jump in there. So this is actually a blog post, okay? And look at the brand guidelines or rather branding here. The background is oranges. Now look at their corporate site, same oranges, right? And orange color button, orange color stuff, circles. So they're all aligning with their brand, isn't it? So this is a very lengthy article, right? And they are, they're using their color scheme throughout the content here. Yeah? So this is very, very important, so that we are not lost. So I'm actually reading a blog article, but in this blog article, the branding is still there, isn't it? From their corporate side. Is the corporate side, is a blog article. So it's a free content they are giving to other people. So this is an example of how they keep the branding connected to the users. And then if you take the third point here, visual communication, right? Now, what does that mean? These are about the elements. Now, we already saw there were some stars and, things like that, videos, images, infographics, for example, and they're all basically giving the same message to the customer. So we need to make sure that whatever message you are giving is essentially consistent with the rest of the things, right? So these elements now, if you remember HubSpot, there were little stars, right? They have nothing to do with the content or their logo or anything, but they have a visual communication. They bring some weight to the whole communication system, right? So, and then if you take the next point, stand out. What does stand out mean? Stand out is about, actually, as you said, in the crowded media, how can you come out? How can you do some eye-catching design, right? So now, for example, if I go to a website to get something, say if I'm searching for information, I might get 10 results, right? How can we make something special, right? Is it by way of optimizing of the content, or is it by way of design? Whatever it is, right? How do you stand out? Is the next question. Now, since we are talking social mediums, it's not just Facebook. It might be even Instagram, right? Or Pinterest, even YouTube, LinkedIn. So how do you stand out from these mediums? So it might be the content, it might be the subject line, it might be the picture, it might be the offer, anything for that matter, right? How do you do it? And the last point in this slide is the shareability. This is also important. Now, if I go back to that page here, the HubSpot, it's an article, right? Let's go down all the way to the bottom. Here we go, right? These are social mediums where I can click this and immediately share this article. So I don't need to copy paste the link and whatever. It will immediately paste it in multiple media. So there's Facebook, Insta, YouTube, then what is this? Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium, the magazine, and also TikTok, right? So for example, if I click on the Facebook link, it will take me to my Facebook page. I'm already logged into my Facebook page, and then here I am, right? So immediately brought me in here. And right, so that's one example. So there are so many similar examples out there where you can press a button and it'll immediately take you to the respective social media. So what I'm saying here is to make it easy for people to share your content. Yeah. And then the next is, see, the whole point of going to social media is to convert public into paying customers, isn't it? So this is known as conversion. So how do you make sure your content promote people to get themselves converted to become customers? So it's called actually driving towards conversion. So there is, in fact, we'll look at it in the future, there is something called the customer journey. So we have public, and then we run a campaign, and then they become interested, and then they do research, and then they become on the top line in our something called the customer funnel, and they go from top to line by line go down, right? And last one is not custom, actually. Last time is they become our own ambassadors. So they go and tell other people, hey, look, that product is fantastic, go buy that. Right? That's our objective. So the conversion is, getting more public into brand ambassadors who will go and do our job on behalf of us, right? And the next one is called storytelling. That's a very, very important one. So when you are putting up content through your mediums, the question is, okay, what is the story you have, right? You can't just put things randomly. You need to have a story there. Sometimes it's the happiness. Sometimes it's emotional, sadness, maybe even anger, right? So you can create any of that emotion using storytelling, right? Again, how do you do that? Whether with video or text or picture is up to us when it comes to designing. But the point here is our content has a base, a story behind it, right? Next is also important. This is called the platform optimization. What does that mean? This is about when you are publishing something onto a platform, how do you make sure you are getting the best of that platform, right? Instagram, for example, pictures are square, right? So no point putting rectangular pictures. And Instagram is generally focused on photographs, not much on videos. Whereas TikTok, if you take, is a video platform, and they don't have lengthy videos. Those are very short videos. But if you take, let's say, a blog post, you might have a lengthy article, just like what I showed you right now. So now, whatever you are publishing must be optimized to that platform. Right? If you take a YouTube, there is a way to publish a YouTube, right? So there has to be an introduction, engaging one with, um, uh, a very strong clip, and then the story goes on. Yeah. So likewise. So how do you optimize your content to get to that format? Yeah. Now, say, for example, if I take, let me go back to the web. Now, let's say I go to YouTube. Oops. Now, if you take a channel that I'm watching these days, Diary of a CEO is a channel I'm checking out these days. Here, so this is the home page, right? Right. Okay. So this is an advert. Oh no, it's a. Is there a, yeah, this is an advertisement. Now on the left, you can see all the clips are there. In fact, let me go to the channel homepage. Right. So here's the channel homepage. Yeah. And this is full of videos, by the way. Lots of stuff. Right. And they have a different mode. They have clips, they have vlog, they have full channel also, right? So if you want to watch the whole thing, you can click one of these things. Let's say you click that. Let me turn off the sound. Something is not right here. Looks like YouTube is crashed. So anyways, so what I wanted to say was like the way they start the video and then how it goes in the first few seconds. They sort of have a very interesting capture. And then if you wait for that few seconds, you feel like you want to watch the whole thing. Now, by the way, now look at this particular clip. Is it 2 hours? Who will watch a 2 hour clip? There are people who are watching, right? See, he has 6.2 million subscribers. Look at that. and 12 million views last 8 months, right? So that's a huge number. Now, this particular clip is, there is a thumbs up about 270,000 people. So this is a crazy channel, right? And they have a very good high quality content where people love to come and, watch it, whether it is 1 hour or 2 hour, people watch it because the content is very good and it is very well presented. Okay, I'm going to close that. Okay, so that is platform optimization. So whatever you are doing, it should be optimized to that particular platform. That's what you're saying. And then comes the data analysis. What does that mean? Now, social media, one of the reason why we go to social media is, one, you can have a very accurate target market. Number two, you can also get a very accurate feedback or log from them so that we can analyze it and to see or understand the behavior and things like that. So this data analysis is very rich when it comes to social media based marketing. And when you have the right content, it's much more easier to get the message. And then last one is accessibility. What does that mean? When you are designing something, there are different kinds of people, right? People who can't see colors properly, people who can't hear properly, people who have like a shaky hand, so they can't click small buttons and icons and stuff like that. So when you're designing something, you need to look into accessibility guidelines also. There is a set of accessibility guideline. You need to make sure you fulfill those. Let me see if I can show some of them. Web accessibility standards. In fact, this one. There is a, let me close this here. There is a very clear guidelines on accessibilities, what it means and why this is important, right? So there is version 2.2 now available. This is a very good guideline. So if anyone is interested in designing something for everyone in the world, they should have a look at this. So it has some very good guidelines on what we can do. Now, if you go to certain places, websites, there is something called high contrast mode. Then there is also where there are buttons you can press and increase the font size, for example. Let me see. Daily Mirror, I think, had a similar system. So if I go to an article, oh yeah, here, you see, I can press this, bigger font, smaller font, right? Very simple thing. And also I could immediately click this to share this on Facebook, just like that. Yeah. There, it's picking up information and it goes to my Facebook thing. And I can also add my side of the story to this article. Right. Okay. So that's an example where there is some sort of accessibility, but then you see there are lots of ads popping up here and there. But at least this minimum thing where I can increase the font size at one is also in a way available. And this is also a good example where there are feedback that can be given to people. Plus, it also records number of people watching this. So these are the feedback from people. Right. So these are the importance of social media design, right? So let's look at, fine, we understood the importance. So now what? Where do you start? Okay. So there are, again, certain basic rules that we can look into when it comes to social media content design. Here are 3 pointers. Capture attention, reinforce brand identity, and then enhance the user engagement. Very simple, 3 rules. Capture attention. How are you going to do that? Right? Now, going back to that video, I'll share some of the links. When you play that, you will realize in the first 5 seconds or maybe 10 seconds or so, it's very engaging, very interesting, high pitch music, and questions without answers, highlights of the big video and stuff like that. So that's how you capture the attention. And throughout, you will also see brand identity, that by way of either colors or by way of background music, by way of showing certain elements on the screen, things like that. And then you promote the brand engagement. Let me see if I can go back to the YouTube, because there's some interesting stuff that we can look at there. So let me go to, right, let's click this video clip. Okay, I'm going to go down now. Look at the engagement here. This particular clip is thumbs up by 65,000, not a single thumbs down, right? And if I expand this, see, the whole video is broken down into chapters. It's a pretty long one. It's 1.5 hours long video, and you can jump anywhere you want from here, which is very good, right? So engaging is very good. And it has other things, like if you want to, now, this is a video from a channel called Diary of a CEO, but they also give direct links to the person who's talking. The speaker's link is also here. Instagram, Twitter, and then this is the website to the channel. And also they mentioned the sponsors. This is also very good because some of the video clips are sponsored by some companies. So they are very open about it, which is very good, because otherwise we don't know, are they playing somebody's agenda, whatever, we don't, right? And going down, look at the amount of comments they had 7 days ago, 7 days ago, 7 days ago, right? So much of engagement, right? Because the content is fantastic, right? This inspired me to feed my bone, to clean my head. I poured my beer. My mom, yeah. So this is a clip about actually dementia and the role of exercises, and how can you help your brain by way of exercising. That's a very good video. So you can see people are pouring, and not just the clips. Look at this. This particular comment has 28 replies, right? So there's a lot of engagement, isn't it? Isn't that what we need when it comes to social media? We need many people to see our content, and we want many people to engage and discuss our content, right? So his sponsoring is working very well, right? He's a very rich man running this channel, right? So all the things that we spoke about are spoken here. Right. So if you look at the few points from this side, right? So let's talk about what is the meaning of the word consistency, right? What does that mean? When it comes to design, I think there was a unit which I was offering, I think maybe 3rd year or 2nd year, and it's called Fundamentals of Digital Media, right? Where we speak about color theory, design theory, design elements, and then we end up designing something with Photoshop, Illustrator, stuff like that. Now, in one of the lessons we do there is understanding something called the color harmony. Now, color harmony is a theory about putting colors together, right? How do you bring colors together? Because some colors don't work together. Some colors do work very well. So how do you bring those color shades together, right? Now, brand or logo, and they have already gone through that cycle, right? Someone has professionally designed a logo. So the color consistency, all that is already there, unless it is coming from a cheap designer. We assume the brand is coming with some professional input. So how do you take that as a base and design everything else? Like I showed how HubSpot has done with just two colors, right? Dark blue and orange. They've done a wonderful job. So that is on the colors. Now, when it comes to font, actually the proper name is type. Yeah, I would say the type is the correct name. So when you say type, people misunderstand that with programming type, yeah, variable types. No, we're talking about the typography in graphic design. Now there are hundreds and thousands of fonts available. Yeah. So just because there are hundreds of fonts available in my computer, should I use, the stuff that I like? Maybe not. Yeah. Each font has a story behind it. These fonts are specifically designed for certain purposes. Now, certain fonts have something called the serifs. Certain fonts don't have that. Certain fonts are designed for children. Certain fonts are designed for newspapers. So there are a lot of stories behind these fonts. And we need to understand that, right? Now, the thing is this, the objective of this lesson is not to make you content designers. You can get a professional to do the design, but you need to know the theories behind these things, right? So if you see a design coming with like 5 fonts, it's an immediate turn off, because I tell you why also. Now, reading is pattern recognition, isn't it? Look at the screen. I'm using one font for the whole presentation, because your eye gets used to the design and the lining of the font. And if I use different fancy fonts all over the place, your brain unconsciously need to sweat a lot of time and effort to read that or to understand. And if I use the same thing throughout, your brain within the first 1 or 2 slides becomes sort of used to the font, and reading the rest of the text will be easy for your brain, and you will not notice that, right? But your brain will thank you for it. Yeah. And the second point is visual style. What does that mean? You have to you have to maintain a visual style throughout. So for example, in my slides, I have a blue color topic left align on the top, right? And then I have slightly shifted to the right hand side with a rounded bullet point text. And my second bullet is a line. So I keep this consistently throughout my presentation, isn't it? So uniform style. And there's at the bottom my copyright information, and the bottom right you can see my page number. So it's there for all the slides. And the next is also very, very important, posting schedule. Now, what does that mean? Now, why is that coming under consistency? Now, if you're doing a social media campaign, you need to have a certain timetable of posting information every Monday morning, or every Friday evening, or every Sunday night, whatever it is. You need to keep it throughout the campaign period. You need to stick to that posting schedule, right? Now, that way you can announce your participant, your users, and say, look, this is our plan, right? For example, that Diary of a CEO, he says, I started by having a discipline from myself that I will create a video every week. And I ran it for like 2 months. And then it became second nature to me. So I was able to continue to do that every week, right? So talking of posting schedule, I have an example graph here. This is from a company. This is social media calendar for a certain month. And you can see there is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, up to Sunday. And then what do you do on Monday, right? For Instagram, we have a post time. Between 12 to 1 p.m., there is some post going on Instagram, right? So some live information about something or the other. And then another one, let's say maybe post a Facebook also, maybe, going on, right? Again, 12 to 1. So there's something going on Instagram, something going on Facebook as well. And then Facebook live session. can be there. Another Instagram can be there, right? Summer post. So this is just an example of what we can do throughout the month. So you need to be planning this in advance and then stick to it. That is consistency. And so we can see every morning, or rather every day, 12 to 1, there is something going on. And every day there is something going on with Facebook and Instagram. You know, it's horizontal and vertical. We can say, right, there is consistency here, right? This is, by the way, a rough example. Now, here's another one. There are also certain tools that is helping us to do the planning, right? Now, for example, here there are 4 tabs, right? Calendar, content details, events and collaboration, and content team. Who's responsible for what? So here, December 2020, you can see all the dates are here from January 1st to 26th. And then you can see what is going on each day, right? You can see that. You can also filter it by monthly or weekly or daily. You can have a look. You can also search for something. So this is a specific software that will do the scheduling on social media. Now, to design something like that, you need to integrate this with, say, for example, Facebook or Instagram or whatever, right? So we can build this application and then push the content on the right day. Say, for example, I want to launch or I want to push a nice picture every Friday morning to my Facebook page. I can automate that using this software. Right? So I load maybe 10 pictures and I'll say every Friday, please post one. So I don't need to do anything for the next 10 weeks, right? The posting will happen automatically. So that's the objective of integration of social media into applications like this. I think we have another example of, this is not a calendar, but this is kind of a collection of ideas I thought I'll show with you. So this is 30 days of social media post ideas. Right? So from first Monday, we start the infographics. Then we go to question of the day, quick tips, branded graphics, your blog post. So it goes on and on and on, right? So the whole month is now planned. So when you do this in advance, you can tell your content creators to get this content to you. And then if you use a software tool like this, you can automate the whole thing. So you don't need to do any work. Your content is ready, your calendar is ready, and it'll do the job automatically. Now, before we go to the next one, let me show you another page. Right. So I'm sharing this article, which has some interesting stuff. 10 presentation opening ideas. It says opening ideas, right? So we are trying to keep the attention of people when they come first. So let's look at the list. Right? Here's a simple one. What, how, and why. You start with that. All right. So these are, by the way, real world examples. The what, and then the how, and the what. See, the attention of the people goes directly to the middle of the slide, right? And background is grayed off. And then we have other 3 on the middle of the screen. So attention is fantastic here. And here's another one, a captivating visual. So you can have a excellent visual, either video or a photograph in a place where you couple that with some, something like this. So you have big text and a small text. Big text is the topic. Small text might be a tagline or an explanation of the program. So that's another idea. And also, if you look at the arrows, the arrow is pointing to the video or the picture, right? And another one, intriguing start. So you start with something big. Here it says 65% of you have no idea, and then we don't say what this is. So they need to listen to us to understand what the chart is. Is it the inflation? Is it the job market? Is it the death rate? We need to listen. But whatever it is, it looks like it's 65%, which is a huge number. Another one, a powerful quote. This is from a famous marketer, Philip Kotler. He says it is no longer enough to satisfy your customers. You must delight them. Right. So remember, we are talking about opening scenes, whether it is a presentation or a slide on your website or a post on your social media platform. Be a storyteller, right? Or ask a question like this: who wouldn't want a happy and healthy life? Right? A doctor is asking this question. So interesting one, right? And then start with a bold headline. So it's the headline here: 74 million metric tons e-waste to be generated worldwide by. So immediately you get attention of people. Right? So I'll share this with you. So can you have a look at it? So this is one way to get attention from the people to our social media campaign. And remember the Bill Gates one, I showed an arrow. So that's called the focal point. Now, there are theories behind how people read content. So people go from top to bottom, left to right. And there is also something called the grid, the 3x3 grid. So we need to understand the science behind these things, right? And then get the design, go along with the science. Now, these are by the professional graphic design experiments, but knowing that is very important. And then prioritization of information. What does that mean? Our slides might have lots of information, but how do you prioritize this? And also, how do you get them to act on a CTA? CTA stands for call to action. Now, everything or every sort of system, every campaign, I would say, need the user to do something. There is some call to action, we say. So how do you push the customers to act on that? So there are different ways we can do it. And the next is layout, right? Layout is again, are you going to have a consistent layout? In that case, we use something called a grid to do the designing and alignment. Sometimes you are fluid, you move things here and there. It's purely depending on your style. But remember, reading is pattern recognition. So we try to stick with the pattern when it comes to layouts. And then another one, simplicity and clarity. What does that mean? Now, we also talk about something called minimalistic design. What does that mean? Minimalistic design. Minimalistic design, okay, the opposite of minimalistic design is detailed design, where you have all kinds of stuff, every color under the sun, different fonts, different elements, lots of things. So some people like it, but most of the people doesn't look like it as a neat way of putting things out, right? So we prefer decluttered or uncluttered space where we can focus on the essential elements. We'll look at some examples. And also, the message has to be very clear, right? So when you have a lot of stuff, your message may not be very clear. And the third one is again, back to fonts. How do you select legible font? Is the next question. Let me see whether I can... Oh, by the way, there is a good example. Let's see it here. So,
switch there.